In the events Lazarus beholds on the third day of his death state, he himself remains invisible, because these are astral visions. On the fourth day, he sees himself. Hitherto, he saw pictures of Christ's life on earth. Their sequence now reaches the present, where it converges with his own initiation. This, then, becomes the source event of the Gospel. He sees his own states of consciousness, earthly and heavenly, in the image of his sisters. Now there was someone ailing, Lazarus of Bethany, from the village of Mary and Martha her sister. It was the Mary who anointed the Lord with balsam, and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ailing. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you hold dear is ailing. Upon hearing it, Jesus said, This illness is not unto death, but for the revealing of the God, that through it the Son of God be revealed. Through this crisis, Lazarus will emerge in his divine being. Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard he was ailing, he first waited where he was for 2 days. Lazarus is laid in the rock tomb of Bethany. The Christ Jesus accompanies him in the macrocosmic Bethany previously hinted at, in the rock desert, the great open grave of the earth. It is by far the deepest place on the dry earth, at the end of the Syro-African Great Rift Valley, a series of rift and fault systems of planetary scale, reaching from Mozambique to Lebanon. John worked there for the whole earth, and now, after his death, he lives in the surroundings. Especially Jesus' decisive encounter with him works on there. Therefore Jesus withdraws there in time for the death of Lazarus, to join the two, John in the inside-out spherical consciousness of the dead, and Lazarus, who is now living into this consciousness, leaving the anchor of his ordinary incarnated central consciousness in the grave. Jesus himself lives in a continual exceptional state, with both central and peripheral consciousness fully realized at every moment. The Gospel now leaves the fairy tale beauty of the third day and descends, like Novalis's Hymns to the Night, into a darker second part. 12 are the hours of day. If someone walks in the day, he stumbles not, for he sees the light of this world. If someone walks in the night, he stumbles, for the light is not in him. Our inner light is our consciousness, as revealed to the meditant in the prologue, and the life was the light of men. In deep sleep it ordinarily falls dark, as the soul leaves the body. Lazarus seeks the inner sun in death, namely Christ. The polarity of light and darkness, as twin cosmic powers, was the Christ experience of Zarathustra, founder of the Proto-Persian culture in the age of Gemini. Now this great leader of humanity is receiving the Christ initiation vicariously, having passed over into Lazarus after leaving the sheaths of Jesus at the baptism. He too works from the eye to transform the earth, like Hiram the master builder, the spiritual ancestor of Lazarus. The ancient Zoroastrian service of the earth shall come to new life by joining with Christ. The circle of 12 shall also join the event. They have gathered here at the place of the baptism, in the aura of their higher group spirit, John. The involvement of Zarathustra stirs their will, especially in the bearer of Gemini. So then Jesus told them openly, Lazarus has died, and I rejoice for you, that you may gain heart vision that I was not there. But let us go to him. So Thomas, called Twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us go too, that we may die with him. Christianity is participatory. By engaging inwardly with Lazarus, the disciples experience something of the transformative potency of the mystery initiation, without themselves lying in the tomb. No hierophant was present to induce the death, as in an ancient mystery center. The sisters pronounce the cause of death. Lord, had you been here, my brother would not have died. Lazarus has died of longing for Christ. And the life arising in Lazarus is one with the being he finds. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who feels me within him lives even when he dies. And everyone who living takes me into his thoughts will pass deathless into the life beyond time. A churning in Jesus' whole being prepares the resuscitation. Jesus, when he saw her weeping, and the Judeans who came with her weeping, surged inwardly in spirit and stirred himself. And he said, Where have you laid him? They say to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. In weeping, the I am intensifies its activity of participating in reality. In the Beloved, you lose a part of yourself. The resulting gap causes a contraction. The in-breathing strengthening as the astral body presses the etheric into the glandular activity of the eyes, where awareness is sharpest. Jesus, surging again within himself, comes to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus speaks. Lift away the stone. The sister of him who had died, Martha, says to him, Lord, the smell has begun, for he is in the 4th day. The death state proceeds beyond that of the pre-Christian mysteries to the onset of decay. Because Christ, incarnating in Jesus, is entering earthly substance, the transformation of the physical body to spirit man can begin. During metamorphosis, the interior of the chrysalis loses its caterpillar form and passes through a phase of chaos before the imago, the higher image of the butterfly, draws its traces. In the following incarnations, this initiate will develop a translucent body open to the cosmos, and then transform it further in the alchemical wedding, where organic substance is destroyed in germination. Light arises, as Gurwitsch discovered. Jesus says to her, I have told you that if you develop the heart's power of seeing, you will behold the revealing of the God. When the organ of perception is developed, the gloria can be seen, the supersensory radiance around the tomb. So they lifted away the stone, and Jesus lifted his eyes on high and said, Father, I thank you that you heard me. I myself knew that you always hear me, but I say it for the surrounding crowd, that they find perceptive faith that thou hast sent me. That is, to reveal that the divinity awakened in the initiate is present in Jesus. This will prepare an understanding of the mystery of Golgotha. John made public the baptism, opening the portal of birth. Here, with the lifting of the stone, the portal of death is laid open. In the Father's realm of death, Lazarus has undergone a transformation. Hence the gratitude. And having said this, he called out with a mighty voice, Lazarus, hither, out. The dead enter a fluid consciousness, where only the process language of verbs conveys meaning. In a later phase, only the direct will force of interjections. Hence the sacramental call of the initiator. In this exceptional public situation, the outward movement takes on a new positional value. The mystery becomes exoteric. Lazarus receives an esoteric jolt. The God he found in death now stands before him in bodily existence, in the world of things, outside, and calls him back to life. Lazarus's inner experience inverts to outer life. The dead appears as a cocoon in the vestments of the ancient mystics. He who had died came out, bound with cloth on feet and hands. His countenance, too, had been wrapped in a shroud. Jesus speaks to them, "Loose him and let him go." We have arrived at the central secret of the book. Behind the veil is the author. As to what he himself experienced, silence prevails. The mystery discipline is maintained at the center of the book. Yet the experience is spoken out in the whole book. Thus it is both concealed and uttered. To protect the unprepared, the betrayal of the mysteries was punishable by death. Therefore the high priests and the Pharisees convened the Sanhedrin. They said, "What shall we do? For this man performs many signs." The office of high priest was then in the grip of a Sadducee dynasty opposed to the mystery culture and all things spiritual. If we let him do thus, all will turn to him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our people. In those days, the high priests purchased their office from the Romans. A mystery cult in Judea would present a spiritual threat to Rome. In centuries past, during the Roman Republic, the cults of the conquered peoples had been relocated to Rome after the ritual of the evocatio, a magical summoning, had conjured their gods. And now the Caesars forced their own initiations, thereby plummeting into moral degeneracy and even insanity. The destruction of the temple predicted here did soon happen. But the Romans could not co-opt the Christian mystery as they did others, though they and their successors the Papists never stopped trying. But a certain one of them, Caiaphas, being the high priest in that year, said to them, "You know nothing, nor do you consider that it is to your benefit that one man die for the holy nation, and the whole people be not lost. This he said not of himself, but being the high priest in that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the people, and not only for this people, but also to lead together the children of God who are dispersed all over, that they become one. Even in its corruption, the high priesthood still carries a reality. Josephus, too, mentions traditions that the high priest acquired the gift of prophecy. But the oracle is misinterpreted. The Sanhedrin resolves to sacrifice the Hierophant of the Judean mystery in order to appease the Romans. Yet thereby they set the stage for the ultimate public mystery act. Therefore, from that day on, they schemed to put him to death. The raising of Lazarus is the reason for the death of Jesus. The further publication of the mystery is this book itself, namely, what Lazarus experienced by means of his initiation. It is veiled, spoken for those who have ears to hear. Then the result of his further development, the book of Revelation, continues the opening. And so, ultimately, does all of Anthroposophy.